Good morning, good evening, depending upon what part of the world you're in. If it's Friday, it is the CEO series. We apologize. We're a little late starting out this morning. We had some technical difficulties, and you all can understand that. Um, every Friday, we bring together global leaders to talk about their career journeys. And today, we are honored to have a friend of mine, Rohit Bassi, is a global recognized speaker, trainer, coach, and author with over 30 years of experience in high stakes communication. He has worked at 21 plus countries, helping leaders, sales professionals, and teams speak with greater courage, clarity, conviction, and compassion. His insights have guided organizations like Honeywell, Oracle, even the World Bank. So today he joins us to share his journey as the communication wizard. So with that, Rahit, thank you so much, man.
Shukran, shukran. Thank you, thank you. Firstly, apologies from my side, technical issues, and we're back on over here. I appreciate your time. I appreciate this invite to this place. I know you through the articles you write on me, HR and learning, and especially from Paul, who you have interviewed in the past, and
Yes.
he can only sing praises about you. Thank you for allowing me to be here.
Yes, Paul. I've knew Paul since I first landed in Dubai years ago. So very, very good friend. Paul, if you're listening, hey man, how you doing? I'll be in touch in a few. So walk us. How do you become the communication wizard? Walk us through starting point. Give us kind of the shops a short synopsis of that. We don't have enough time to go through all of
Yeah.
it. Give us the
Uh,
highlight.
Okay, the highlight is very, very simple. Um, I was born and brought up in the UK. I studied in India in my early life, and then I moved back to the UK. When I moved back to the UK, my communication wasn't that great. It wasn't that great, especially because I mainly spoke in Hindi, Punjabi, and Urdu, and English. Although I was studying in an English school in a convent run by Catholics, I didn't enjoy the language, English language. Yeah.
Yes.
But anyways, you're back in the UK, and I have just learned how to speak English, and it's really tough. It's really really tough for me, and it was tough for many 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 years. Fast forward, I was doing an interview with a similar podcast like which we're doing over here a couple of years ago. This is just after COVID. This is in 2020. Well, COVID was still there, 2022, when I had just I was recovering from COVID. I was in ICU because of COVID, and
Oh,
a particular individual invited me through a podcast, and he had done a lot of research on me, which I didn't realize how deep he had done the research on me. And he said, "You're known as the communication wizard." At that moment, I just shrunk. I was like, "Don't call me that. Please don't call me that." Because my clients tend to call me the communication wizard. But here's me who can't even construct a sentence together. And why would a client call me a communication wizard? I was like, I managed to deflect the question somehow or the other.
yes.
I went back and I said, "Look, I need to clarify this. What's going on?" And I looked at communication. Yes, I work on communication, be it in sales, be it in leadership, be it in teams, or in your life as a whole. And so I looked at this word wizard, because the moment you hear the word wizard, magic. Magic
Yeah.
means
Everything.
everything. And I said, I've got to look at this word wizard because I'm so uncomfortable with this. I looked at it and I was very surprised, shocked, and very happy.
Yeah.
A wizard does not have any innate magical qualities. A wizard learns through their trial and error, through the experiences, through the pain, through the suffering, through the wisdom, following others, having mentors, coaches, and so forth, and reading, writing, making endless mistakes. And I was like, wow, this is perfect. And then I looked at all the movies you see out there on magicians, and you see magicians really mess up. They have many flaws. I said, perfect. I'm the communication wizard. I
Listen,
love it.
I take it.
That's where it all started. Is I'm gonna just say as a communication wizard. That's what I'm gonna start doing.
But you know what I picked up from that is that someone else saw that in you. So lots of times when we have this imposter syndrome, people see you, and maybe you can address this. People will see you and they see something, and even inside of yourself, you don't really feel that. You didn't really feel the wizard part. but
Yeah.
someone saw that quality and said, "You're the wizard." Any thoughts on
It's
that?
true. It's very true. Let me go back to what I listened to Les Brown, I mean, a couple of years ago, and I followed him quite a lot. And one of the beautiful things which Les Brown said, I'm just paraphrasing, I can't remember exactly what he said, but it plays in my mind sometimes. It says, sometimes to get that energy, that support, that encouragement, which you don't have it, you get it from someone else.
Yeah,
And take that and use it to the best of your ability. Because there's someone out there who believes in you. It's not a belief, they have a knowing, they have a trust. And I say belief, when I say not, it's not a belief. Belief still has doubts, but
yeah,
you have knowing and trust. It's an amazing thing where they have no doubts in your ability, and that just pushes you up,
yeah.
lifts you up. And so I've experienced this from my former wife. I remember when I wanted to go into this career, and I was sitting there, and I mean, you want to talk about someone who communicates, who really is good at it's her. She should be doing this, not me. And she said to me, and I was pondering about this. Shall I go down this road of uh, speaking, training, coaching was not even in my mind, and authoring was not even in my mind. I just wanted to be a speaker. That's all I wanted to do. And she took a piece of paper. I'm contemplating, and doubts. Everything was coming up. She drew a big circle on the piece of paper, and she put a very minuscule, very tiny dot, which you can't even see.
Yeah.
Says, "What do you see?" I say, "I see a circle." And she says, "Okay, just imagine that's the world." I said, "Okay, it's the world." She said, "Can you see that dot?" I said, "Barely, barely."
Mm,
She said, "That's you, that's me, that's everyone in the world." But
mhm.
notice you go, especially go to what the Western world defines as developing countries, you go over there, everyone is doing their best to do something with their lives.
Yeah.
That person in the corner, with the street food or fixing the bike,
Yes.
everyone is doing something the other. You have all the resources compared to them, all the resources. And what are you doing? Sitting on your butt.
Hmm.
So, get up
Yeah.
and do what you feel like and give it a shot. That's it. And that's what it all started off. It was her trust and knowing in me got me to jump up, because she always said, "You have this great ability to uplift other people. How
Yeah.
come you're not doing it for yourself?"
Yeah. So there's a saying in the U.S. The shoemaker always needs shoes repaired. The mechanic has a car that has 1,000 issues with it. So when we're always looking at making an impact on other people, and this is why this show is important to me, because it's like I'm sitting on a couch. The couch is a psychiatrist kind of a metaphor. I sit on a couch every Friday when I talk to successful people like yourselves, and you walk through the journey. And one of the key points of the CEO series is that realize everyone is going through something. Everyone is trying to make sure they're maintaining the so-called brand of who we are, in doing that. So kudos to your ex-wife for putting you on the journey to become the wizard. So let me. You talked about inspiration life, so I will assume that's one of the key points of that. And one of the questions I had: can you share a time when someone believed you more than you believed in yourself, and what it did for you? What she did was put you on the path to where you are today. Would you say that's an accurate assumption?
I would agree with you completely. It's her. Then I have to go give a lot of credit to some other people. There is an individual, Craig Chapman, who was my manager at one time. Then he's the one who actually made me realize I have this skill set. I was working for an organization called Veritas Software, and he saw something which I did not see in myself.
Hmm.
And he got me to just get up. And I used to do technical trainings. I used to be deep into technical trainings, not what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
So the shift from technical to what behavior or people's attitude, whatever you want to call them, people
Yeah.
skills, was a massive shift. And initially, no one was willing to even take me on this. But I decided when Craig did that for me, I realized this is what I really love doing. So
Hmm.
that was that. There was another individual. I mean, his name is Stu Beaumont. He was also one of my managers in Versa Software, and he's another person who encouraged me, because he delivered a training, And I went to that training and I was like, wow, this is like, what is this? I've never come across this kind of career.
Yeah.
And he encouraged me to have it a go at it. I really loved it. And the reason why I was hindering or stopping myself from going down this path of standing in front of people or doing those coaching sessions is because I had a very bad incident at university where I had to present my 3-year project and I just about passed it. And I said, I'm going to be behind the computer, hidden away from everyone.
Mhm.
And the strange thing is, as a child, I used to love drama. I used to be love going on the on the stage. Many people label me as a introvert, but they
Mhm.
find it so amazing that I'm able to stand up, do the coaching, do the training, do the speaking. It's
Yeah.
it's a big shock. They're shocked that I can come on a video like this and do this talk. Or also when I interview people, and they're like, I don't get it. You're more of an introvert. How are you doing this? Oh, I'm just
Yeah.
like, I kind of just love it. Or maybe it's just like I feel in my mode, or maybe it's a platform where finally someone will listen to me.
That's amazing you talk about that because I just posted a reel on Facebook and LinkedIn of speaking opportunities. And I was looking at it the other, I looked at the stage and I said, people would look at that and they see super confidence, but they had no idea the first time I had to speak in public, voice was quivering. And it was like the night before I could not sleep and all of that. But I said, you know what? You got to face it. You got to face it. This was in New York years ago. And I said, you got to face it and you got to get up there and do it. And I was able to do it. And I got a standing ovation. I said, do it again, keep doing it again, keep doing it again. And that was my routine to get to the point that I speak now. I don't even give it a second thought in doing that. So that was my learning journey of fear. And how did I approach fear? And my way of approaching fear was that you run into it head on and you take it from there.
It's true what you're saying. One of the things which I've realized through my lifetime, when it comes to the stage, and and again, I give this credit to Craig Chapman. I gave it to my former wife. I give it to Stuart Beaumont. Um, I have to say they made me realize a skill set or a passion or a love for something, which uh, I wasn't even aware I had so much love for it.
Yeah.
Uh, and I'm fearful on many other things in life, but when it comes to this,
Yeah.
it's not that the fear is not there, but somehow I've managed to navigate it. I've managed to make friends with it. I've managed to use it for my benefit to move forward with it. And
Mm.
because of that, even when I do, especially when I'm doing senior coaching with CEOs, CFOs, those senior leadership, they get me in, they hire me in for their work is because they don't want to go on a public workshop and admit that they're having this problem, and so they
Exactly.
come to me. And I'm like, why are they coming to me? They just see something where I'm able to tweak. Now,
Mm.
you may read as many books as you want.
Yeah.
I do strongly sense and know everyone has some kind of talent,
Yeah.
and maybe this is a talent in me, maybe there's something else, but somehow I naturally fall towards that. And I've been able to help other individuals at different levels, and especially at that C level, at that leadership level, how to deliver the message with that clarity, that courage, that conviction and compassion. Look, they're great communicators. I'm not going
Yeah.
to deny that. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in that position they're in.
Mm.
But now, how do you actually refine it? How do you make it more wholesome?
Yeah.
How do you? I was reading a message just recently on one of the social media platforms, and saying that if you're not seen, you're not recognized. I'm not fully in agreement with that, because that's just part of the
Hmm.
equation. So you have to be not looking at I have to be seen, but you have to be looked at from a perspective of what is your message, who are you giving it to. This comes to the four P's, which I finally kind of getting grasp to it is purpose,
Yeah.
people, planet, prosperity. How is it fitting in there? And so when I'm dealing with certain people, certain levels, be it in a group coaching and everything, I'm looking at it very in a natural way. What is the purpose? How is it going to help people? Okay.
Hmm.
how's it planet in a, see, planet doesn't necessarily mean the environment. It also means how you transferring that knowledge to get better at things, which is going to impact the rest of the world anyways. And finally, prosperity. People focus on profit. I would rather say focus on prosperity, and prosperity is far way better than having profits.
Yeah. Hmm. So how do you deal with those moments of self-doubt? Yeah, one of the things that I've talked about, I travel a lot. You know, you're in a hotel late at night. You got to get up next morning to do this big whatever it is. I was just in Singapore last week, and one of the phrases I've always coined is if the ceilings could talk, because they see you laying there and you're wide awake, 3 o'clock in the morning. You got all these things going on in your mind. How do you stay focused in that? Because we all go through that, regardless of what level you are. We all go through that. But how do you get yourself to continue, take one step, or keep? What is your antidote to that?
Um, so I was just talking to myself about this. You know, the times where I feel very stressed out, very fearful. It's just not doubt. Anxiety starts kicking in.
Yeah.
And suddenly I realized a couple of weeks ago, this is happening to me from a very young age,
Yeah.
uh, where I had my exams to do. This is what in the UK they call them GCSEs,
Yeah.
which allows you to then go into your college and so forth. And I remember all I could hear in my head was my family saying, "You're useless, you're going to not pass through this, blah, blah." And I was in my bed crying.
Mm.
I was just crying. And I didn't know how to deal with it. Next day I had the exam. I went in there and all I could say that I'm going to do the best I can. I know I'm not a studious person. I know that these books don't make sense to me, but somehow or the other, I'm going to pass through that. That was my knowledge at that time of whatever, because there was no one to guide you at that point. Years have gone by. There's different approaches you can look at this. For me, one of the greatest tool which I use, and I use it all the time. I use it in public as well. When this doubt, this fear comes in, I tend to put my hand over here, hand on heart. Yeah, and and there's a Hindi movie which talks. It's called Three Idiots, and you put your hand on your heart and you say, "All is well, all is well, all is well." So I say that to myself, obviously in Hindi or Punjabi, sometimes in English. That's one thing I do. The other thing which I do, this is more in the public arena when I'm there, I tend to put my hands like this in that steeple position. That steeple position allows many people have done research on this. It allows your left and your right brain to talk to each other, become into equilibrium.
Mm.
To be in some kind of flow. So physically, that's what I start doing. The other thing which I tend to do is, okay, a lot of people run away from this. When there is a fear, there's anxiety, we want to get rid of it.
Yes.
Okay. What I'm learning, and I keep on learning, is running away is never the solution.
Mm-mm.
The first and most important thing is acknowledge that you're going through this. Acknowledgement is very important. Once acknowledgement is there, is the awareness of I am now aware of what's happening. And when it happens next time, I'm going to heighten my awareness further towards this. I may not have the solution at the moment, but at least have the acknowledgement and the awareness. Then the third thing which comes is when the awareness, and this is the third thing, is the most difficult part, is acceptance that this is how I am.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The moment you start accepting it, the fear, the doubt, the anxiety starts diluting away. And it doesn't happen like this.
Yeah.
It's over time. For some people, it's like this. It can happen like this because it's the way they've been conditioned from a young age.
Mm-hmm.
For some people, it's not the case. In my scenario, it's like one of those Indian movies or those Korean plays where a scene just pans out for such a long time that I'm like drowning in it.
I know.
So now that scene, as time has gone by, the scene is reducing in time.
Yeah. That's amazing. You know, being able to figure that out. If you had to give a presentation to leaders, And I'm going to use it from the pretext. What advice would you give them in managing L1, L2, level one, level two below them? Because the managers are the keys inside of an organization. They're the ones span of control is 7 people. 7 people times 7 people, you have a workforce. What advice would you give a leader of an organization, CEO level, whatever it is, on the importance of communicating with their teams, as opposed to barking orders, I'm the boss, like that kind of thing?
Okay. So let's take an example over here. We are at the moment communicating.
Hmm.
Okay. It's a form of communication. Just before this happened, I got a message from yourself and your colleague. Where are you? Blah, blah, blah. Now, you were concerned. What's going on? You communicated. Is he even going to turn up? I'm in a position where I cannot communicate because of whatever technical issues there. As soon as the technical issue was resolved, I saw the messages come up. I was like, okay, I'm getting online. Communication was happening. There was connection happening. There was a connect happening. Now, the same message could have been delivered in a very, very toxic way. Don't you have any respect that we've been waiting for you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I could have turned around and said, well, tough luck, get lost.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what a leader needs to realize is, and leadership begins when you let the ego go aside. Leadership begins the moment you get away from being egoistic, whatever you want to call it.
Big shout out. Yeah, my term.
Yeah. So you have to let go of the ego.
Yeah.
And when we look at ego, there's, people talk about ego. I love some of the people who say ego is edging greatness out, edging goodness out. Or if you are someone like a more spiritual individual, you might say it's edging God out, depending on which context you're coming from. A leadership puts the ego out at the side, looks at the situation, looks at from a very emotional perspective and a rational perspective. They have that ability to manage both of them. Now, some leaders are amazing, good to get you triggered on the emotions. And then later on, their rational is all over the place.
Yeah.
And there are examples across the world where leadership has gone toxic because it's been able to trigger you emotionally, but not looking at how unwholesome that emotional trigger is, and unrationally, or having no ration, causing further issues. So in regards to your question, a leader needs to look at it from a human perspective, that emotional wisdom. They have to, I'm not talking about emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is great, but you're still in that intelligent perspective.
Yeah.
And intelligent is great. And it reminds me of something which a great poet, a great author, a great individual in India, Rabindranath Tagore, said. You can take a knife, okay? And I'm just paraphrasing it. Take a knife and you can use the blade of it and you can cut through things, cut to the point where it starts bleeding you, it starts hurting you. But now if you, with the blade, have a handle to hold on to it, you will not hurt yourself, and you will, the likelihood of you hurting yourself is going to reduce significantly. And also the way you're going to use it is going to be more careful. So it's a balance of your emotions and your rationals, which you have to come through. Humans are a bag of emotions, whatever said and done. Every decision we make, Ron, you've had relationships, you've had friendships, you've had those moments when you need to go to win a deal and so forth. I completely agree. You must have gone with some rationale, but something emotionally tells you, I need to do this. It could be a fear factor. Yeah. So it could be a fear factor. It could be, no, it just needs to be done.
Yeah.
So we are a bag of emotions. And so a leader needs to really understand this aspect of the emotional connect and emotionally connecting in a wholesome manner. And therefore, I always talk about courage, clarity, conviction, and compassion. They should, with courage, with clarity, with conviction and compassion, deal with any given situation.
Mm. That was so powerful. Because with leadership today, and I do a lot of work, so-called high level, the big shots, and I tend to pick up a uncertainty. COVID kind of kicked everything in at high gear. How do I manage virtual? How do I manage a newer, a younger workforce coming in? Are there common themes that when you deal with clients that you're picking up? Heard this before. Heard this before.
See, they are common themes, and the common theme which you see is it always comes from this fear factor. They
Okay.
may not agree with it, but they are scared of something. There's a
Mm,
fear of something happening or not happening. Yeah. One of the one of the things is, unfortunately, us as followers, we make a massive mistake thinking a leader is flawless.
yes.
A leader is a human as well.
Oh my
They're
goodness.
going to make mistakes. The
Lots of
difference between
mistakes.
a leader and a follower is a leader realizes their mistakes or gets that acknowledgement, finds the acknowledgement, has that awareness, and accepts it, finds a way to reduce it, eliminate it, or minimize it,
Mm,
and therefore able to move on. And if a leader is not doing that, is not willing to admit their flaws, and they want to be perfect, issues will keep on coming up. And so being human in the sense of being aware, a leader needs to be aware for themselves what's going on in themselves.
mm,
It's a inner, whatever said and done, it's an inner journey. Now, people might say, it's spiritual crap. It's not spiritual crap.
yeah.
You can look at your life, you can look at the people in your life, you will see when somewhere an inner strength, or inner clarity, inner courage, inner conviction, inner compassion comes in, you start moving forward.
Exactly. Exactly. You mentioned something in your rebuttal a few minutes ago, admitting that I have flaws.
Yeah.
One of the key phrases I always use. I said the greatest thing that a leader can realize is that you tell your people, "I don't know the answer. Let's work on it together."
Yeah.
And as opposed to feeling I have this Superman badge on, you come to me, I've got answers for everything. Get away from it and begin letting people know that I'm human like you. I'm trying to figure it out the same as you are, but let's huddle together to do that.
That is beautiful. That's just amazing. I mean, how many of those leaders do you actually meet, Ron?
Oh,
Yeah. And if you do meet them, they're very fortunate. I had a very wonderful manager, and younger to me when I moved to Dubai. His name is Ben Fawcett. Ben Fawcett was that individual.
hmm
He, being younger and with the immense insight and wisdom he had, uh, it was just amazing. Where you would go to him with a problem, he goes, "Okay, bro, I really don't know. Let's sort it out together." You know. Instead of, then there was another individual I dealt with who was my manager at one time. Uh, don't come to me with the problem. Come to me with the solution. And I'm like, you're at that senior position for
yeah,
a reason where I can't see something. uh,
yeah,
Help
yeah.
me out. So that term, don't come to me with a problem, come to me a solution, is like, stop it. You
Word,
are in a position to guide me.
word salad.
Exactly.
So, so what do I do now? But again, I think the power of communicating is important. And this is why, when we were talking the other day, and I sent some things back, we were going back and forth trying to iron out some things on graphics and all that. And you said, speaker first, and then communication wizard. I said, wow. So an expert on communication. You just gave us kind of a master class in how that's done. So as we begin to close out, because we're running a little short on time, because
Yeah.
we in the technical side, if you could give your younger self a piece of advice, what would it be? Because I know you told that powerful story and that circle in the middle, small dot, and all of the world, and here, oh my goodness, what what advice would you give your younger self?
Good. There's so many things I could tell my younger self. So many, many, many things. One of the greatest things which I would say to my younger self and I still say it to myself, is learn to pass through the fear. The fear you have inside yourself, the doubt, the anxiety, learn to pass through it. Those things hinder you, those things stop you. They also help you evolve. So I'm there's something which I learned about compassion. Compassion is one of the biggest things for me when I look at it. I bring this up for a very simple reason. Is many years ago, I was a part of a group, and we were sitting down discussing our vision, mission, and values. And when I looked at it, for me, when I look at work, or even if I look at life, for me, joy, love, and compassion are very core values. And the main facilitator said, "No, those are not very businesslike."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, but I like them." And it's like, no, this is not going to. No one cares about that. I said, "Okay," so I changed it. COVID happened. This same individual, for their business, started using the word, not similar, but joy was there somehow, in happiness.
Mm-hmm.
Love was not being used, but it was care and kindness and compassion. I was like, what's going on over here? Yeah.
Because,
So
you were the one that said.
you're the one who said that this is not business. And so what I would say to my younger self, have that self-compassion for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
We are very good at being compassionate with others. And let me even put a caveat to this. We say we're being compassionate to others by maybe being charitable to others, but we're not doing that. We're doing that so that we can feel good about ourselves. Oh, well done, I've done my charity work.
Yeah.
Compassion has no agenda on it. So compassion is about, they talk about sympathy, empathy. Go one step further and look at compassion. Why? Compassion is finding that small step to move forward. And that small step could be maybe a hug from yourself, maybe going for that cup of tea, maybe going for that walk. It could be the smallest of all things. But when you join all of these things, it becomes the bigger solution.
Yeah.
But small parts need to come in. So my younger self, I would keep on saying self-compassion, self-compassion, self-compassion. When you are in that state of self-compassion, as the Buddhists say it, or even if you look at the Eastern culture, you get into a state of equanimity.
Mm-hmm.
Equanimity being that middle ground where if things are going bad, you're stable, you're grounded. If things are going great, you're stable, you're grounded.
Okay. We had a shorter version today, but thank you so much for dropping all those nuggets. I love pass through the fear. I may do something with that, write something about that. So thank you for being a guest on the show. It is always important for us to have guests which shares their journey, because we always see the top of the pyramid, but we don't see the climb. And I think you gave a master class in doing this. So as we begin the process of closing out, I need you to hang on a minute, just for 1 minute, and then we're going to talk through what I wanted to mention post the session. Okay? Thank you so much, Rohit. Thank you.
Shukran. Thank you.
Okay.
Take the CEO series with you anywhere, anytime. All episodes are now available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and major streaming platforms. It's not just an interview. It's a masterclass in leadership.